change that. I'm John Halpin. That's Ryan Fowler. We're going to start this week talking about the NFL, the early lines. We're here Tuesday mornings, a little after 9 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to talk about the early lines for the Week 1 NFL games. And the big news here is Le'Veon Bell has not yet reported to the Steelers. So the line, I checked Bovada this morning, the line's off. Yesterday it was 6 because everyone thought Bell was going to report, but he didn't. I've seen 3.5. I've seen 4. Bovada's off. How much of a difference do you think this makes, and where do you think the line's going to set? It looks like about 3.5 or 4 if Bell doesn't report by tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I mean, again, Le'Veon Bell kind of chooses his own destiny these days, right? I mean, he gets to report when he wants to report, and really there's no any type of backlash, really. I mean, this guy has kind of written his own story in the sense that he can skip training camp, come, and then produce. And that's the big thing. If this guy came in and didn't produce, I think the narrative right now would be a lot different. But we saw what he did last year, and I think the production that he gives the Steelers is obviously worth those points. I will say this. I think this matchup is closer even if Bell plays. I know the Browns aren't going to win 9 games overnight from a year ago when they didn't win 1.
What?
But I think this game will be very close, regardless if Le'Veon Bell suits up or is absent week 1.
All right. So like I said, let's just keep talking about this game for a minute before we get to the – normally I like to do the housekeeping, you know, the Twitter feeds and links and all that stuff. But this game right now, so Tyrod Taylor is going to start for the Browns.
Yep.
You're a Browns fan, so we have a lot of fun with that always. Are you –
It is a lot of fun, isn't it?
I am optimistic about this game. It's funny, when I first got to know Sean at Pickwatch, or the Pickwatch, should we call Sean the overlord of Pickwatch? Should we call him?
Guru, but overlord works. He is overseas. So
yeah, but anyway, you know, the first year I was picking with him, we always joked around that I loved the home underdogs. Yes. So here you go, right? Browns are home dog. I think this is a good spot. Heck, even if Le'Veon Bell plays, I want the line to go higher. But I think the Browns are in a good spot here because we think – I don't know if we agree how much we think they're going to improve. I think that the prevailing wisdom I've heard over the summer from a lot of smart people is that the projected win total of 5.5, I think that's an over. The Browns as a home dog this week look like they're in a pretty good spot. Them and the Steelers played 2 very close games last year.
Exactly, and the Browns play well at home. I know the record isn't indicative of anything, but they do play well at home, and they have kept games close. I remember that Chargers game that came down to the wire when they won the 1 game 2 years ago. That home field in Cleveland does matter. It might not result in wins or creative losses for that matter, but when they play the Steelers at home, it is close. And, you know, Ben's getting up there in age. That body's starting to bail on him a little bit. I know they have the receiving core that is well lauded. So they have the pieces there to put points up. But I think on the contrary, or on the flip side, so do the Browns this year. I mean, that backfield is solid. I think Hyde looked good in preseason. If they get a little splash of Josh Gordon, they can move the chains. And unlike last year, that wasn't the case.
Yeah. So anyway, over-under, the last I saw was 46.5 on this game. We're probably going to be waiting because now there are rumors that Bell could report on Wednesday to the Steelers. We're not sure. Maybe he's going to stay out. This is going to be a fluid situation, folks. So you're going to want to watch this one a week. All right. So to get us started, we're going to be doing this show. Ryan and I are going to be here every Tuesday. I'm going to be with Josh Katzowitz on Thursdays, going over the games in a little more in depth because we're going to be closer. We're going to be able to look at what the people on Pickwatch have selected, the experts that we track. We're over 100, and we're going to be able to keep an eye on you. At that point on Thursday mornings, hey, 57% of our experts have chosen Team X. So that's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to check that out. NFLPickwatch.com. As far as Twitter, at Pickwatch is the Pickwatch site account. You're going to want to keep an eye on that for lots of insight. Ryan is at Freelance Fowler. I am at jhalpin37. This year, like I said, Pickwatch is going to track expert picks for all NFL and college games all year long. Ryan and I are going to be picking them, so you're going to want to check that out. I said we're going to have shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so please keep an eye for this. We're going to stream them on Facebook and YouTube, I promise. We're going to get to YouTube. Don't you worry. Also, Josh Katzowitz, my weekly co-host, he's going to have a weekly column previewing the week's game, so you're going to want to check that out later in the week as well. Let's get to the rest of the week 1 schedule that we talked about. Eagles-Falcons is Thursday night. The line right now, Eagles at home. They're favored by 3. Over-under is 45. Nick Foles is going to start a quarterback for the Eagles. This is a tough spot. I don't get into the Super Bowl hangover stuff necessarily, but Nick Foles starting, and I know Nick Foles played well in the Super Bowl. He's not Carson Wentz. Alshon Jeffrey not going to play. The playoff game was close. I mean, that game, everybody, we were all – I wasn't excited. I don't like the Eagles personally. But as good as they were last year, that game against the Falcons in the playoffs could have gone either way.
Yeah, and, I look at the matchup, and I watched enough Nick Foles in the preseason, his shoulder ding aside. He did not look good. He did not look good against the Browns in that one preseason tune-up game. I'm a little nervous, especially with Alshon out. I know it's a home team. I know it's open tonight. You have the reigning Super Bowl champs hangover aside. This Falcons team, they underachieved last year. And I think what you really need to look at in this week one matchup is what does Steve Sarkisian do with this offense heading into 2018? Because I think, again, Julio Jones definitely underachieved last year. The offense as a whole, I think, underachieved. I think that this team has an opportunity to break out. I know the Eagles defense is good, not great, but I think that with all the weapons the Falcons have, they can go into Philly and they can win this game and cover in week one.
All right. I think you're right. I think the Falcons are probably going to be my pick this week in that game. I'll finalize it before Thursday, but yeah, I kind of like that one. Next up, Ravens at home favored by 7 over the Bills. The over-under is 40.5. Nathan Peterman starting at quarterback for the Bills. This is just, the Ravens led the league in forced turnovers. Look, if you're a daily fantasy player, if you think you're smart picking the Ravens, everybody's going to be playing the Ravens defense. Everybody in the world is going to be picking the Ravens. It's so chalky. It's the chalkiest chalk of the whole year as far as DFS goes. As far as the game goes, I don't know how good the Ravens are. They're one of those teams I can't figure if they're, let's say, a 9 or 10 win team or they're a 7-win team or so. I'm not sure. This just has blowout written all over it, Ryan, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think this will be very akin to what the Jaguars did early last season, where the defense just kind of put the offense in great positions and they were able to score points. I think, and again, you never know what to make of the Ravens, like you just said. It's because that offense makes no sense. What is Michael Crabtree going to be? Like, what is Flacco going to do in the twilight of his career before he hands it off to Lamar or RG3? Probably not. Probably Lamar before RG3, even though the depth chart suggests otherwise. But this Ravens offense is just clunky at best. The defense is going to put him in position to score. Nathan Peterman, I know he had that awful game last year with the 5 interceptions, but the Ravens are going to make him look even probably worse this year just because they're going to blow through that offensive line. The Bills have so many holes, and that's why I was surprised when they cut Corey Coleman because, again, they need so much help at so many different positions. Why not give Coleman a flyer? It does more about Coleman than it does the Bills.
Yeah.
It's going to be a sloppy game, and I really think that even with the 7, you have to think that the Bills on the road are going to have a rough time covering that 7 points.
Yeah, I think John Brown might be a little sneaky kind of play for the Ravens. Everybody talks about it. Training camp. You don't want to read too much in. Everybody was raving about how Flacco looked. Maybe a fire got lit under him for the final year. I don't know. I'm sure the guy's self-motivated, but you never know. But yeah, this one just looks hideous. Pats -6 at home over the Texans. The over-under is a high one. It's 51. Last year they actually played was 36-33 Pats. That was one of the Deshaun Watson games.
Mm-hmm. That was a great game.
The spread actually came down a little. It was 6.5 on Monday. It's down to 6. Not a significant thing, but it's a little movement there. People are making such a big deal about the Pats wide receiver core. Edelman's out for 4 games. It's Chris Hogan and a bunch of guys. Not that you never heard of, but Philip Dorsett is at Cordero Patterson. It's just I don't know if they're going to pick anyone up off waivers this week, but it's ugly. Doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter as long as you got Gronk and Hogan and Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's precision. Brady goes out there and he hits his spots. And I know Edelman's absence is going to hurt a little bit, but it's not going to hurt a lot. They made Danny Amendola come in there and look like a genius move when they brought him in, and he filled voids at times with Edelman out. So they reload in different ways. And I think this game could be as entertaining as it was last year. I know Watson's coming off the injury, but I think that point total has a lot to say about what the action's going to be. I think that over could hit, especially if Brady wants to go out there and, again, knock somebody in the jaw early on. With how well he looked in the preseason, the guy's going to come out there. And I think that Texans defense, even with Watt, is something ripe for the picking. I think Brady could go out there and pick that apart pretty easily. And I think 30-plus points from the Patriots is feasible. It's what Deshaun Watson can do in that first game back. Can he get right back on the page with DeAndre Hopkins? Will Fuller had some nice games last year with him, but again, was that a fleeting moment? Was that just in the moment that he was able to do that? Can he carry it over in the production into 2018? I think this is going to be one of the more enjoyable games to watch because of what happened last year. It's all about Watson and his recovery and how he eases back in to the regular season mode.
So it sounds like you think this one's going over 51.
I do. I know it's a lot of points. I completely get it. But I think it's more about Brady being able to find some options, even with this interesting combination of receivers. He's got Gronk. They're going to be able to run the ball. I think even with, again, this running back by committee that they're known for, they're going to move the chains, and I think that they're going to be able to hit that over because I look at Watson. I still, with the weapons he has around him and what he was able to do, the Patriots defense has been do not break, but they broke a few times last year, and I think the same can happen this year.
Yeah, and when you said entertaining, anytime you're saying there's going to be an entertaining game, you probably think it's going to be closer than 6 if you had to decide now. Yeah,
right now I think that it'll be, again, that 6.5 is a doozy when you move the hook. But I think right now, I think the Texans can keep it close, but a lot of it depends on what your belief is in Watson coming off the injury and going into this game. I think that the Patriots defense will allow points. It's just a matter of Watson hitting his spots.
Okay. I don't know, but I'm not sure which way I'm going to go in this game. I think I'll probably go Pats, but we'll see. All right, next up, Vikings 6 points over the Niners. The over-under is 46. I love the Vikings in this spot. I mean, I like the Niners. I know they closed out strong,
right?
And I think they're going to improve. But the Vikings are they're loaded. They're so good. And it's a home game. And, you know, I know the early start for the West Coast team, but they're not traveling all the way east, but it's still 1 o'clock start. It's not that doesn't seem to be the factor it used to be. You know, that disparity is settling down a bit. But I just think the Vikings are just too good for these guys. I think they might be the best team in the league, and I think they're going to cover this one.
Yeah, I mean, they bring in Cousins, so you put in an upgrade at quarterback. I know Case Keenum played his mind out last year. I mean, just completely over his skis with how consistent he was, that great game manager. Now you insert Cousins there to be thrown to Thielen and Diggs and Rudolph. That's amazing. Plus, as you mentioned, I mean, the 49ers are still a work in progress, so they're going to be a little I think they're still a year or two away from being competitive, plus the loss of Jerick McKinnon and that running back stable just becomes shakier now. So there's just not that balance that Garoppolo needs or assumed he was going to have because the receiving core is below average, and you need a lot to keep up with what Cousins is going to be able to do. Plus, again, you look at the Vikings backfield. You talk about Cousins and paying him, and you talk about Thielen and Diggs. I mean, the Cook-Murray combo this year is going to be pretty delicious, too, for a nice balance. Like you said, they're loaded. And you look at their running backs, you look at the receivers, and then their defense is known because of Zimmer. That is a perfect combination. 6 points is a lot, but with Cousins moving the ball around to all those targets, I think this could be a good 30-point threshold for the Vikings to hit in week 1.
All right. The rest of the stuff in that game, remember, no Reuben Foster either for the Niners, right?
Right.
So that's a big deal. All right. Colts favored by a field goal over the Bengals at home, over under 47. Andrew Luck back. He looked fine, right? All preseason. Are our concerns alleviated? I think they probably are.
In a vacuum, Andrew Luck looked okay. It's just what's around.
Right. So anything else with these guys? The thing with this game, I think the Colts defense is just terrible.
Yeah.
Like this looks to me like a pretty solid over. I think they're going to be slinging it all over the place. I think you're looking at 30-27 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the rankings last year, 28th against the pass and 26th against the run were the Colts. I mean, the Bengals, speaking of underachievers, you have one of the best receivers in the league with A.J. Green. Ross looked good in the preseason. I think Mixon can still be a great running back in this league. They have enough momentum that they can go up there and pick that apart. On the flip side, the Bengals – they're just going to have to basically stop Andrew Luck, and I don't know if they can with what they have. I think Luck will be able to do some damage there. So, yeah, I see your point with the high point total. I think the Bengals are a much better team than where the Colts are right now. That's not saying much, but I think the Bengals are going to be able to cover that even.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I'm going to pick the Bengals in that game. Jags over the Giants is next up. Jags, it's in Jersey. Jags are favored by a field goal, over under 43.5.
Your New York Giants.
My New York Giants, yeah. My New York Giants. I got Luke Kuechly staring over my shoulder, and it's my New York Giants. All right. So I know the Giants are going to be better. I think the Giants are going to be better. Barkley's there and Beckham's back for the full year, hopefully. And, the defense, hopefully Olivier Vernon comes back. His ankle was hurting him and they're hoping to get him back, which is a huge difference for them. But I don't know if I'm willing to give the Giants enough credit. Look, they've tried to fix the offensive line. I don't know how much they've fixed it. And,
they brought new bodies in. I mean, fixing it, bringing new bodies in is subjective.
Right. Solder's fine. He's better than what Eric Flowers was, but Eric Flowers is now on the right, and everybody thinks, magically that solves every problem, and it doesn't. And the right side matters too. So I feel like the Giants are getting a little too much credit with this spread.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I think this spread, and I hate to pick on the poor guy, this spread is all about Blake Bortles, right? I mean, what can Blake Bortles do with no Marquise Lee? Allen Robinson left her in free agency. So, I mean, Keelan Cole had a nice end of the season, but I think the spread is indicative of the Jaguars' offense and more so the passing game, because Leonard Fournette and TJ Yeldon are going to do some work, right? I mean, they're going to be leaned on so heavily. We'll be interested to see how their bodies hold up as the season goes on, because Bortles really needed lead there, right? Their tight end situation with Austin Seferian-Jenkins Jenkins did okay with the Jets, but there's a lot of question marks in that Jaguars passing game. So I think when you look at that spread, the Giants made some personnel moves to kind of improve that offensive line. But, man, I think the Jaguars' defense is why they are favored, but it's Bortles why it's so close.
Right. I think Jags and under looks like a pretty smart way to go here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Jaguars are going to be able to cover that because I do think that the moves that the Giants made are being oversold. But, again, I'm very interested to see how Bortles does in the passing game as needed in week 1 to be able to cover that 3. That's the only thing that makes me nervous.
Okay. Next up, Saints 9.5 over the Bucks at home. Over under 49.5. James Winston out for the first 3 games. So Ryan Fitzpatrick goes for the Bucks. Mark Ingram out for the Saints. This over under seems high to me. And here's why. I feel like this is an old Saints over under, not a new Saints. The Saints are a team that they like to run. Their defense is pretty good. They're playing against the Bucs team with a second-string quarterback. The Bucs defense is actually not terrible. They've made some decent moves I don't think they're good, but I don't think they're awful. And I don't see this game as a shootout. Do you?
Yeah, I thought it was slightly high, but I will say this. I don't know if the Buccaneers did enough in their secondary to slow down Drew Brees. And I know they're going to be able to – they're not going to run the ball as much as they did last year only because Ingram's out. And Kamara is going to probably catch and run a little bit more than between the tackles just to keep Kamara healthy until they get Ingram back. Then they're going to have a little bit more flexibility. They did pick up Mike Gillislee off the free agent wire. But I think it's a matter – that over-under is a matter of Brees versus the Buccaneers secondary. I think it's not going to be as bad as it was last year, 32nd against the pass. But I think the 49.5 is slightly high just because, again, like you mentioned, the Saints' philosophy on offense has changed a bit. Even with Ingram suspended, I still think they're going to follow that lead of what worked last year. So you're going to have more of a running clock, and Brees is going to have to win it with his arm. I am fascinated, and I don't know about you, but you bring Ben Watson back into the fold. It's kind of a couple of years ago when that worked so well. I'm kind of interested to see how the passing game changes with Watson there, even though he's 100 years old.
Right. I mean, he still last year he caught 60 passes, 61 for the Ravens. So he's still got some gas in the tank. So do you think the Saints, I think I'm okay laying the 9.5 here.
I think Fitzpatrick is going to be able to cover. I think he gets a raw deal just because of the journeyman and the Harvard stuff. I think with what he has around him now, it is Peyton Barber's backfield now, which is weird because he gets like no headlines. For as many headlines as Doug Martin got, Peyton Barber had an okay year last year. So I think that they have some things clicking there. Where 9.5, I mean that's a lot of points to cover even at home. Divisional game. I think the Buccaneers are going to be able to cover that game.
Buccaneers. Okay, we're going to differ on that one, but that's all right. Next up, we're going to go to Miami. Titans visiting the Dolphins. Titans are a 1-point favorite, over under 45. Titans they're kind of a trendy team this year with the coaching change. I think it's more, it's less, and you and I do fantasy football work, so the the worlds collide sometimes. But I think some of the excitement about the Titans isn't it's not all about the new head coach, Mike Vrabel. It's partly about the offensive coordinator, Matt LaFleur, who came from the Rams, because everybody loves everything Rams at this point about offense. It's the offensive genius and all that stuff. And wondering if this is a nice fit and a nice way for Marcus Mariota to improve. But the Titans here, I think people are going to hammer the Titans in this game because the Dolphins they're just not good. They're probably one of the worst 3 or 4 teams in the league. And the Titans actually could be a pretty good team.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the more ugly games. I did look up, again, weather, you can take it or leave it. It's going to be hot, humid, and there's going to be thunderstorms rolling in there. I'm not worried about wet footballs. Quarterbacks and football players have been playing in the rain forever growing up. But that hot, humid weather, this could be an ugly game just because I think those week 1 cramps are going to pop up. I know you can be the best stretch person in the world, but when you're amped up and you're this strong, those cramps are going to come. I just don't think it's going to be a pretty game to watch, even with the changes the Titans made to their OC. And the one other thing I noticed with the Titans roster, no changes in the receiving core. Delaney Walker, another 100-year-old gem at tight end, he's a little dinged up. He seems okay to play this week, and Mariota's going to lean heavily on them, but no changes really at receiver. And the funny thing is, I didn't notice until the other day they brought Tajay Sharp back. I thought that guy was long gone, but he's on the active roster. I am fascinated with the Derrick Henry, Deion Lewis combination, and I think that's where the Titans are going to be able to win this game because Tannehill, I'm never going to be sold on him. I don't believe Kenyon Drake is more exciting prospect on the ground versus what Tannehill is going to be able to do through the air. But I think that Derrick Henry, Deion Lewis tandem with your OC is going to be what I'm looking for, not so much Mariota improving as a passing player.
All right. Yeah, I really like the Titans in this one. And remember, everybody, as the week goes on, if you check NFLPickwatch.com, it's not just all about what we think. It's about what the opinions that we track and the picks that we track. That's going to tell you, who let's say the experts of all sorts and from many places are picking. So again, that's NFLPickwatch.com.
And John, you won Pickwatch a few years ago, right?
I did straight. I think it was 2013 in the straight up picks. I actually finished. I was top of the mountain. Yeah. That's how Sean and I got to know each other. We kept in touch, and I was pretty close and keeping track all year because it was kind of cool. Yeah. So
it's good to be right.
It's good to be right. Exactly. It beats finishing last, I guess. All right. Next up, Chargers Chiefs. Chargers are a 3-point favorite here. Over under 47.5. This is interesting because the Chargers defense is very good. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs defense is very bad. Horrible. Yeah. They weren't good before they traded Marcus Peters. So this, I'm not sure what to make of this here. Antonio Gates coming back for the Chargers. I assume he's going to play this week.
How many 40-year-old tight ends are we going to have in the
league? So what do you think? I mean, the Chargers are pretty clearly the better team here.
Yes.
So I'm not sure why but this is basically a pick without the home field, and I'm not sure I understand it.
Yeah, I was a little confused too when I looked over all the spreads. This one definitely jumped out. I mean, again, Patrick Mahomes is getting that same statue built that Dak Prescott got built during his lead up to his breakout season. But I mean, Mahomes, cannon of an arm. Tyreek can run for days. We know that. Well, what else? And Kareem Hunt had a great year, and they buried him in the middle of last season, and he did great down the stretch. The Chiefs have a lot of pieces, but again, Phillip Rivers never misses a game. With the weapons he has around him, I love the Chargers offense. It's just the matter of the Chargers finding creative ways to shoot themselves in the foot late in games, and that's why you have the 3. This is about the Chargers, and those fourth-quarter meltdowns are creative ways of blowing games that they should win and should cover. They avoid the mistakes. You cover the 3 early. It's do the Chargers avoid those mistakes that have haunted him over the last handful of years. I think this, with Mahomes making his debut on the road in a division matchup, that's a lot of pressure on him. And I really think that Rivers, the veteran, going out there with the weapons he has around him, nice running back, good defense. I don't know how balanced it is. I think there are some issues on the passing side of things, but I think the home with the 3 points, that's a winnable game so long as they keep down on the turnovers.
So are you surprised in the projected win totals this year? Mm-hmm. I don't get the Chiefs. The Chargers are 9.5. I think the Chargers are a Super Bowl contender, like a real one. They hopefully they don't shoot themselves in the foot this year. But I think they could contend. The Chiefs, and their projected total is 9.5. The Chiefs' projected total is 8.5. I don't get that at all. Like, I don't understand. It makes no sense to me. What about you?
Do you think Vegas and odds makers are overvaluing how – I don't know how to phrase this right, but are they overvaluing the defense? Because everybody seems to be in love with the Chiefs' offense. So when you look at an 8.5 over-under, are odds makers giving more credence to – and again, those 8.5 fluctuate based on who's betting, right? I mean, those things will move based on how much money's coming in. So, yeah, I mean, you have a anxious Chiefs fan base dropping some money on that. I think maybe that 8.5 is about giving more credit than the Chiefs deserves, because everybody loves the offense, right?
Yeah, they do. I mean, it should be exploded. I mean, Mahomes might struggle, but they'll. I mean, there's a lot of weapons, and I think they'll score, but they're going to give up a lot too. So yeah, I don't quite get them as even being as an above average team. I don't buy.
And I'm fascinated to see what they do with Kareem Hunt, because the usage in the middle of last season still makes no sense to me.
Yeah, it was kind of up and down. You're right. All right, Broncos Seahawks. These are not our normal Seahawks at all. Broncos are favored by 3. Over-unders 42. The game's in Denver. The Seahawks could be a not good team. Not good. I mean, the defense has changed. Everybody. I mean, a lot of guys left, right? I mean, Sherman's not there. Chancellor's not there. Earl Thomas is not in. Michael Bennett's not there. You know, they tried to address the running game. I don't know how much they did.
I mean, I'm very concerned about the health and safety of any running back that goes to Seattle. Those guys dropped like flies.
Yeah, agreed. Chris Carson has looked great. He's looked great in the preseason. I mean, they drafted Rashad Penny, but it looks like Carson's going to start because Carson is just, you know, I mean, how do you sit the guy down? Right. But the line is still shaky. You know, other than Russell Wilson, this team is in for some rough sledding, I think. And look, I don't think the Broncos are that good either. But I've definitely taken them at home this time.
Yeah, Broncos are going with a rookie running back. I saw a report yesterday with Royce.
Royce Freeman is going to play a lot, yes, and he should. I don't like this. I don't like this spot for the Seahawks one bit.
See, again, and I don't like the Broncos as a whole. So I know it's a road game, and I think Wilson will pull a rabbit out of his head, as he often does, to get the win on the road here. I know a lot has changed. I completely get that. I know Wilson has to do so much work with his legs because his offensive line lets him down time after time. But the Broncos, they seem to be in flux still. I know they cut Paxton Lynch. They admitted it wrong there. I don't see how what they have going on with Keenum makes a fix right away. I know he did some nice things with the Vikings last year, obviously. I mean, like I said earlier, he made the best of that situation and overachieved than I think anybody would have imagined. Can he duplicate that in Denver with Demaryius and Emmanuel? Maybe.
Nah.
No, I think this is regression. What do you say, John? Water reaches its level?
Water reaches its level. I always tell you that. Yes, that's true.
High on the Keenum platform last year. But, yeah, I think the Seahawks can go in there and get this win. As ugly as things are and as much has changed, the Broncos, I think, are one of my least favorite teams to even touch this year, win or lose.
All right. I think we're going to differ on this one, but that's fine. All right. Now we're going to come down here to Charlotte. My buddy Luke back here. You see him? Where is he? There he is. That was the new decoration in my office this weekend.
I was really expecting a life-size or 3 times life-size human fathead of Luke Kuechly.
I thought about it. I really did. Wouldn't have got here in time. Fatheads are expensive.
They are really expensive. That's a business model.
They're cool. I told you, my son has a Joey Bosa fathead in his room.
More problem.
Here's the thing about the fatheads. So I like fathead tangent here. I like fatheads. I like the idea. But what they say about fatheads is that they're portable. So if you move it, you can basically peel it off the wall and put it somewhere else. How do you transport a 6'5" Joey Bosa fathead?
That stuff's not peeling off. I think I've tried to do that, and you have to be like a precision craftsman to peel that off without because it is durable. But if you have a huge fathead that you're trying to peel off the wall, you definitely have to have a skill and the patience to be able to peel that off without ripping it.
And after you do that, let's say you're even going to move it to another room down the hall. You had to have like 6 people carrying the thing because or else it'll curl up and stick to itself.
Yeah, the saran wrap effect where it sticks to itself.
Yeah, I don't know. If someone from Fathead can watch and tell me what I'm doing wrong, I don't need. Actually, I'm not doing it wrong because right now I'm not moving any, so it's fine. It's just it doesn't. They said, "Oh, you can move it." I'm going, really? Come on.
I think most fatheads probably. If we had to put odds On how many fatheads stay in their original spot, I would say probably most of them.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. But I do like them. I was going to get the big head. You're right. I thought about the big head, maybe a big ham head. Maybe that'll make an appearance soon.
You need a LeBron James Cavs.
I don't. Lakers, like LeBron Lakers for you?
Oh, that hurts. It still stings a little.
Yeah, Ryan's a Cavs season ticket holder. Are you still? Are you going back?
No, I couldn't make the 4-hour journey anymore. I did it for 3 years. That 4-hour trip up from Cincinnati was quite a bit. So
yeah, for LeBron, you do it. Now for I don't know.
Maybe when we get Zion Williamson next year, we'll take it.
There you go. That's being optimistic. All right. So Panthers Cowboys down here in Charlotte. Panthers favored by a field goal, 42.5 over under. The natives here are very excited about Christian McCaffrey, by the way. Some of my friends on the radio were talking about him in the same breath as LaDainian Tomlinson last week. And partly it's because North Turner, coach LaDainian Tomlinson, knows how to use multi-purpose back. It wasn't that they said he's as good, but people are getting very excited about Christian McCaffrey. What I want to talk about with the Cowboys, the Panthers have had some offensive line, two things. Panthers have had some offensive line issues. Matt Khalil, who you might say it's not a loss, that some people think, he got hurt. He's on injured reserve. Taylor Moton, second-year guy, is playing a left tackle. Actually, they're pretty optimistic about him. He was a second-round pick last year, and he seems to have some potential. Darrell Williams back at practice was there, Pro Bowl or almost Pro Bowl right tackle last year. But they've had some injuries. They lost Andrew Norwell. The Cowboys front four, I don't think the Cowboy defense overall is that great, but the defensive line is pretty good, and they can get a rush on. And I wonder how much that factors into the game. Cam Newton has proven himself to be – he has worked with bad offensive lines before, and things have gone okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, getting back to Christian McCaffrey and just his scope for this season, will Cam Newton and those offensive line woes allow him to turn into LaDainian Tomlinson? I know North Turner's a very talented coach in that regard, but there are some things about Cam Newton and the way that he runs that offense sometimes that I'm wondering, can Christian McCaffrey live up to that potential? But yeah, I think this matchup, I like the Panthers at home here. I'm very interested to see how the Cowboys define themselves in this first week because as we've noted in previous discussions offline, John, the receiving core of the Cowboys is just it's a shell of its former self. We can obviously say,
yeah,
so much pressure is going to be on Zeke and Dak to make chicken soup out of chicken droppings that a road contest like this to start things off makes me a little nervous. I'm actually surprised it's only 3. I think there could be a hook there that would make things a little bit more interesting. I think the Panthers at home, with the state where the Cowboys are right now, Zeke and Dak aside, I think that they're down. And I think the Panthers have a great opportunity because, again, too, one thing that was missing from the Panthers a lot last year was Greg Olsen, and that definitely is really nice.
Yeah. Another thing about the Cowboys, with Travis Frederick being out, I mean, the thing about them, their calling card the last few years has been their offensive line.
Absolutely.
Right. And they sort of, I don't want to say they make Ezekiel Elliott, but they make him look a lot better. I mean, they make anybody look good. You know what I mean? And they've been tremendous. The problem there is, as you talk about their offense is predicated on that line being awesome. Not just pretty good, but being this steamrolling, fantastic unit that is never going to give any sacks and is going to let their running back run through anyone.
Right. And
now Travis Frederick being out, I just worry with them. Even if the line is kind of, I don't know, above average. I mean, Zach Martin sounds like he's going to be back. I feel like if there's any drop off there, that is a recipe for some trouble for them.
This is a house of cards team, and it's weird too because with Romo passing the torch to Dak, we thought that again, just general consensus and the feeling around Dak's first year that there was this rise back in America's team, and now it seems like a house of cards to your point where if you pull one thread, everything could collapse and they could be a 6-10 team or even worse. I think that there are a lot of issues with this Cowboys team that, again, the success lives and dies with Dak and Zeke overachieving to what they've been able to do in the past. And Dak showing his mobility more than he has the first couple years is going to have to probably be a necessity this year. I know I don't want to discredit the rest of that Cowboys offense, but again, it is a big change when you lose a Witten and Dez Bryant, even with how down Dez has been. I think having that weapon there allows for other things to happen. And now he's not there. So even if he's an overpaid decoy, he was a decoy that got other people open, and now you don't have that.
All right. Yeah, a few weeks ago when the Panthers offensive linemen started dropping like flies, I was ready to pick the Cowboys in this game, and I don't think I'm there anymore.
Yeah, don't you think that three's in it? I know three is, I mean, if you look at all these spreads, parity in the NFL, right? And that home field usually is three. But I just think this is low, I guess.
Yep, I think that's fair. All right, next up, Cardinals and Redskins are a pick 'em in the desert. Over under 44. Looks like we get Sam Bradford playing. Josh Rosen not yet. So Sam Bradford has played 5 seasons of 10 or more starts, 10 or more games. He's never had yards per attempt of higher than 7 even. He is Mr. Checkdown, Sam Bradford. You know, last year he was starting to throw, you know, it's funny, I looked at last year, his yards per attempt were higher, but he only played 2 games, so it's kind of hard to tell anything. But yeah, that would speak to lots of Larry Fitzgerald and David Johnson, and they're going to go as far as those 2 guys can take him. I mean, the Cardinals project to be a kind of bad team. Again, going back to projected win totals from Vegas, they're 5.5, on the lower end of the league. I think their defense is actually not bad. The coach, Steve Wilkes, who was the Panthers defensive coordinator last year, he's going to play an aggressive style. They've got some good players there. You know, I mean, Patrick Peterson and Chandler Jones and Deion Buchanan. And, you know, there's some talent on that defense. And in a game like this at home against a Redskins team that's kind of sort of okay, I think the Cardinals actually are in a decent spot.
Yeah, to your point, and I know we don't want to get too cross that bridge into fantasy too much, but this is where fantasy and in this case gambling blends a line or making a pick, because I've always been a big fan of what Arizona's done on defense, and I think sometimes that gets overlooked just because of the up and down nature of what their offense has been through the last few years and through the end of Carson Palmer's career. Because, and again, with the emergence of David Johnson too, what a beast he was. Their defense doesn't get enough credit, and again, when you put Arizona at home with that defense and a quarterback that doesn't take a lot of chances, I think, and the offense is what it is. Their running backs had a tough break with not being able to stay healthy during the preseason and losing Geis. That was brutal. But I really like this matchup for the Cardinals at home. I think they're going to be in a pick'em situation. I like the Cardinals as a no-brainer just because the home field advantage.
Yeah, I really like them too. Packers-Bears, we're getting the Sunday night. Packers are favored by 7.5 at home. Over under 47.5. Khalil Mack's probably going to play. You wonder how much, right? I mean, I haven't heard anything from the Bears, but
I'm a smart guy, but I don't know if I can learn an entire playbook.
but he hasn't been in camp, so a full, him being on the field all the time seems unlikely. That he maybe 25, 30 snaps, something like that. I'm assuming he'll play, but you would think he'll be limited. So Mitchell Trubisky in a hostile environment for game one. There's a lot of expectations with the Bears, especially now with Khalil Mack. But beforehand, the offense, they got the new coach who is an offensive coach. They signed Allen Robinson. There's some expectations here this year with Mitchell Trubisky, and how do you think he's going to live up to them?
That's a loaded question, John. I mean, they did put pieces around him to make the best of his sophomore season. So, I mean, not like you said, the pressure does lie on Trubisky to kind of go out there and make some noise. I mean, I like what he has around him. I think, again, to go out there and get a talent like Allen Robinson is going to be the best thing for Trubisky in this season. I think Taylor Gabriel's interesting. Anthony Miller is going to be interesting too. Mm-hmm. The second round. I like him a lot as, again, in fantasy circles, late round, take a flyer type situation, because they probably will be playing from behind a little bit. But hostile environment, as far as this matchup goes, I think Trubisky, it's still going to be a learning process for him, because Aaron Rodgers is going to come out there after becoming this huge millionaire deal that he just signed. He's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders too. I mean, Trubisky is one story, but for Aaron Rodgers to go out there, I know it's more for services rendered, the payment, but Rodgers is going to go out there and look to light this team up. So I think it's going to be tough for the Bears to keep pace. Trubisky might press a little bit. And again, Allen Robinson is only one guy, so you can't really, right. And he's going to get the top DB all the time. So it's going to be tough for him to go out there and overachieve right off the bat. I think this is going to be more of a, let's see where he's at midseason and give him a grade. I don't know week one if Trubisky's going to have enough in the tank to go out there. And I know it's 7.5. That hook makes it all the more tricky, but I think Aaron Rodgers goes out there and rolls.
I think so too. And Vegas again projected win totals. Back to that again. 10 for the Packers. Vegas is in.
I mean,
on the Packers. I think they're good. I think they're going to be good.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, they do have to define what their running back is. They got a little quirky here and there. I think fine-tuning what their running game is going to be, because Aaron Rodgers is going to throw and he's going to want to throw, but they do need some semblance of a consistent rushing game. Maybe it's a rotation, but I know that seems to be a work in progress after the Ty Montgomery experiment.
All right. Monday night, first game. Are you going to – I'm going to be honest with you. So we do the show Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern. I'm that old man guy. There's 2 games Monday night. There's no way I stay up for the late game. There's no chance I make it past, midway through the second quarter.
But it's the Rams. Don't you have to stay up because everything is Rams?
I want to. I'm looking ahead, everybody. When I do this show next Tuesday with Ryan, my frame of reference for the Rams Raiders is not going to be – it's stellar. I will guarantee you that right now.
Yeah, we'll see if this game gets out of hand early, it won't matter because there's a chance of that too.
All right, well, let's go with the first game. Jets-Lions. Sam Darnold starting for the Jets, which we all expected. I think the Jets are a little underrated. Again, back to the projected win total, it's 6 for them. I don't think they're good, but I think they could be a little sneaky, maybe. The Lions are solid. Matt Patricia. Weird thing about the Lions. So they hire a new head coach, but they keep the offensive coordinator.
Right.
But a lot of people think that the offense is going to change anyway. That I guess it's because Patricia is a defensive coach that people – I mean, I feel like I've heard this from a lot of people this summer. They think, they're going to try to establish the run game more. Why? Like, what are we talking about? With LeGarrette Blount, we're going to try to establish the run game, or Kerryon Johnson hopefully will take over at some point. But then they've got 3 good receivers, and they've got a really good quarterback. So why do we expect that things are going to change? I mean, the offense is kind of fine.
Yeah, I mean, it does its part every year. I don't understand that train of thought.
All right. I mean, and look, they do need to run better because this is a team more than probably any other in the league that has had trouble running the ball over the last 10 years.
Is it true that they haven't had a 100-yard rusher still? That streak is going into this year, right?
I think so.
I believe it is. I don't think they had one guy last year rush for 100 yards.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, they keep trying. Hopefully, Kerryon Johnson will be good. But Blunt played well in preseason, so.
I think Kevin Smith was, or maybe Mikel LaShore was the last guy to rush for 100 yards.
Mikel LaShore. There's a fantasy football name from the past right there.
Literally, we're going back to like 2012, 2013.
I remember picking up Kevin Smith for a Thanksgiving game one year. Going, it's one of those things that you get to. You sit here before week 1. And this is a fantasy football discussion, that you look and you're trying to, really focus on these guys who are going to play well and logically think things out. And then by week 10, you're going, oh my God, I have to pick up Kevin Smith.
Right.
Even though 3 weeks before that, you really hadn't even heard of it.
Right. I was just telling Amy, I mean, it's amazing how many of these guys just 2 years ago are completely out of the league and out of sight, out of mind. I mean, I know Carlos Williams had some off-field stuff, but Carlos Williams could have been a great back in Buffalo, passing the torch from McCoy to him. And because of off-field, he just disappears and you never hear from him.
Yeah, and remember 2 years ago, people were falling all over themselves to draft Amir Abdullah in the 4th round.
Yep.
So anyway, all right. So back to this game. 7 is a healthy spread. As I said, the Jets are underrated. I think I might be okay taking the Lions here with a rookie quarterback playing in his first game.
Really? See, I'm leaning Jets on this one.
Okay.
I think that I think Darnold did enough in preseason to convince me that it's not going to be a complete disaster in year one. It doesn't seem like he's going to have bumps in the road, no doubt. Every rookie quarterback does, especially when you're thrown into the fire like this. But I think they have enough pieces to go in there and compete. They may not win, but I think a 7 spot, even inside the dome, is a lot to give up. And I think that 7 is because they're going against a rookie quarterback. Lions did not. I watched a couple of Lions preseason games, not just the Browns game. They did not look good, and I think you can do some stuff against that defense. I think you can put up some points. So I think they keep it relatively close and cover the 7.
Okay. All right. I think we're going to differ on that one. Last game, Rams-Raiders. So this is at Oakland. The Rams are favored by 5. It was 4.5 Monday. It's gone up a little bit. I think it's Khalil Mack. It's the Khalil Mack half point that's going to become a Khalil Mack point and a half over the course of the week. The Rams are I mean, they're all in. The Rams averaged just a shade under 30 points a game last year. And they were a good team. They lost. They had that rough playoff loss, but they were a very good team. And they added Sue, Talib, Marcus Peters. Am I missing anybody?
No, the moves they made were the right moves for what they want to do in that NFC. I mean, they made the moves they needed to make.
Yeah, and they signed Aaron Donald, which people were worried about over the summer. But this is a team. They are loaded for they have a Super Bowl window right now, and they are playing on the road Monday night. I know I said I like home dogs. They are playing against a bad football team on Monday night.
And it's so funny to me because when the Raiders went out of their way to bring in Gruden and spend all that money, I'm like, okay, they want to win now. They're not going to wait till Vegas. Now it seems like, yeah, we'll just try and win something in Vegas, and it kind of hoses the Oakland fan base. That's neither here nor there. But it's just like I listened to Gruden's press conference the other day when he had to answer 15,000 questions about the Mac deal, and man, he just already seems defeated, which is weird because Gruden always kind of has that swagger and that sense of confidence, and it's almost like we got a lot of pieces. We need money to put 53 men in the roster together, this and that. So it's almost like I feel when you look at that spread, it's like, are they going to wave the white flag right away? I mean, is it something where they bail? Gruden's body language as a gambler makes me look at the Rams and lick my chops in this one because it just seems like he's already defeated and he's ready for Las Vegas and what team he can put together there because he just, even without the Mac deal, it just seemed like Carr is getting a lot of grief for the amount of money he has. I wonder if there's animosity in that locker room because his deal kind of hamstrung him to do anything with Mac, even though the amount of money Mac made is just incredible to me as a defensive player. I know he's talented, but wow.
Right.
A lot of money to lock up. So is $100 million for a coach and a front office member. But, yeah, it just overall as a gambler, I looked at this and I'm like, Raiders just seem defeated before they even step on the field for week one. Give me the Rams.
All right. I'm saying give me the Rams in that one too. And I think it's an over. 49.5 is a high number. I think I might go over.
Yeah, I think so too, because I think the Raiders will get some garbage points late when the Rams ease up because they already have a big lead.
All right. That's it, Ryan. Anything else we missed? Any other notes? Anything important that you think we need to cover?
No, I'm ready to go. I think this will be a fun exercise every Tuesday. We'll get it seamless by week 3. We'll have Emmys lining up to cascade our mantles, and we'll put together some award-winning commentary on this, I think.
This wasn't seamless? What are you talking about?
Well, week 1 is always, and I'm saying about the analysis of the game, week 1's always a little itchy because preseason doesn't really give us too much of a sense of what teams are. You give us a week or two of actual games, you can dig into that. There's something to chew on. Week 1, I mean, I've been covering the NFL for, 15 years now in different ways. Week 1 is always tough, no matter who you are. And if you are a guru and read the tea leaves or have that orb in front of you and you know what's going on in week 1, more power to you. I admit there are some flaws in any commentary going into week 1.
All right. Who's your favorite? You pick one team. Who's your best bet on the board?
I'm taking the Browns to cover. This isn't a homer pick. I think if it's 6.5, and I know it's off the board right now, but if it's 6.5, I think the Browns to cover is where I'm going at. I don't think they're a 9-8 win team, but I think they're going to be competitive. They're going to be entertaining, and they're going to be able to cover against the Steelers team that I'm not completely sold on as good as they were in years past.
Yeah, I think the Ravens look almost too easy, but it looks like an easy one. And I'm going back. I think we agreed the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals over the Redskins at home and a pick 'em. I like that a lot.
That would be my second pick. I think the Cardinals at home as a pick 'em is where I would lean to.
All righty, folks. That's it for our Tuesday episode of Week 1. Like I told you, I'll be back on Thursday with Josh Katzowitz talking about not only more analysis on every game, but talking about the picks that we've already seen and then the way the lines have moved and the way the experts that Pickwatch tracks at NFLPickwatch.com are picking games. So we're going to have a lot more information for you on Thursday. We're just going to dig deeper into every game again. So you're going to want to come on back again. Ryan and I, every Tuesday morning, we're going to do this show and we're going to get an early look at the lines and the over-unders for every game and probably recap the previous week's games just a little bit. Ryan, thanks a lot, man. We'll do it again next week, okay?
Sounds good, Johnny.
All right, everybody. Again, Ryan's at Freelance Fowler on Twitter. I'm at Halpin37. You can also follow our Pickwatch account at Pickwatch on Twitter. So that's it for today's edition of Pickwatch Live. Remember, like I said, back on Thursday with Josh, Ryan Fowler. I'm John Halpin. Thanks for watching. Whoops. Sorry about that.
Seamless.